Hi, welcome to Positively Sparking, a podcast on internet marketing, online productivity, and business. Today I'm with Neil Henry, Director of Positive Sparks, and we're going to discuss how you can set up a digital marketing implementation plan. So hey Neil, how are you doing today?
Good afternoon, Phil. I am very well, thank you. How are you?
Pretty good. Sunny day. We've both been discussing the sun in the north and the south today. So
sunny day, but a freezing day.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Spring's just not quite here yet.
Yeah, no.
But what we're going to chat about today, which might bring some spring to web marketing for people, is something I found on the Google Partners site. So Google Partners have a great free analytics course where you can actually gain a qualification, individual qualification in analytics. And I was looking at their videos the other day, and one of the most interesting things they talk about is the need to plan a digital path for your online marketing and analytics in their case. So they actually give 5 steps, and I thought what we might do today is go through each step and discuss them. And the whole idea here is that from discussing the 5 steps, we can set up our analytics and web tracking to give us the information we need to make the 5 steps happen, to make our business successful. So how does that sound now?
Sounds perfect. Yep.
Cool.
Very appropriate.
So step number 1 is we have to ask ourselves, what are your key business objectives? And that is a question as much as about what do we want to sell as it is about what is our brand, what makes us tick. So sometimes, I don't know if you found this, Neil, but we'll find a website for someone that we just met and a new client we're working on, and it in no way reflects how they actually are offline. So we go into a business, we meet the people, full of energy and very, very engaging, then we go to the website and it's kind of flat, comparatively. And that's an example of where a website doesn't reflect the objectives and the ethos behind a business. So when we write down our key business objectives, we don't just say we want to sell more of this, we also say we want to sell it in this manner and give people this kind of experience when they're dealing with us. Does that make sense? Like you're a chirpy, knowledgeable, articulate man. We want to reflect that in Neil Henry's websites, whatever they may be.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, as a business, to me, there's three core questions there to step 1, as you're saying. So your business objectives, you would flip that around instantly. It's not what your key business objectives are. It's how does your audience, don't like the word audience as much as customers or prospects. So how do your customers or prospects want to see and interact with your business? Very simple. Where do they hang out? How can you attract traffic to your website from how they want to, where they hang out in the channels they frequent? It's very easy to say, well, certain industries or certain like-minded people will go into different social media channels, or will just want to go straight to a website or a landing page based on your offer, your content, your insights that you've got to share with them. But to me, the step 1 is all about thinking about your customer, your prospect. Are you selling to an existing and or new customer? And you're obviously going to be doing both. And from that objective, how do you attract that person to your website? It's such a simple concept. It sounds like it's such a no-brainer, but so many small businesses especially fail to deliver the right web presence, website, social media channel setup, because they are talking to themselves and talking about themselves more than the pain points of the customer. So what are your key business objectives? Flip that round. What are the pain points? What are the solutions that people want to hear about?
So you would talk to an existing customer in a different way than you would talk to a new customer, is that?
Completely and utterly, because they're at a different stage in the journey of either knowing your business, knowing about what solutions or products or services are out there. And so they don't need nurturing much further. Or an existing customer, certainly someone who is aware of your business or brand, is much further along in the journey of potentially connecting and then buying, as opposed to someone who's brand new. They may be brand new but know of your business, so they are further along, a couple of steps further along, than someone who doesn't even know who you are. So there's an education process. So your business objective for a new customer is educating and then nurturing with an existing customer. It's enlightening them and giving them further insights to enhance the relationship you've got with them already.
Okay. So let's say we take a famous brand like Nike. And Nike, if you look at their business objectives, they might be to create great sportswear is a product objective. But then there's this other brand objective that Nike have, which is making us all believe we can run quicker, jump further, do all kinds of other crazy physical things that we didn't believe before we acquired Nike gear. So how does that mix of sales and brand go forward, do you think?
Well, Nike's probably the biggest, apologies to Adidas, a very noticeable visual brand. It's got all the power in the world from all the major sports companies. For the purpose of, say, this podcast, or the kinds of people that are running a small business that will need these kind of insights because they have less resources and certainly less budget than the massive marketing machine that Nike has. But someone that's selling a brand of sportswear, their primary objective has to be catering to the market in ways that they can do cheaper and more effectively than Nike ever could to compete. Now, in order to do that, how do you look at your website and how it's enabled to attract people in the right ways? Because there's no way you can compete in terms of, say, paid advertising with a Nike or an Adidas of this world. So the objective that you have to very succinctly put to people through your website, through your social media is it about price? Is it about a promise? Is it about reputation? Because your brand has no chance, has no legs compared to the brand of the bigger brands in the world.
Okay.
But because the digital world narrows the field, gives people every opportunity, there are so many more ways that you can make your web presence more engaging, but it's all about the enticement of the offer that you provide for someone. Because you're not gonna win alone on brand.
No. Tough brand to match in all kinds of ways. Okay. Good stuff. So let's move on to step 2 there. So we've been through a little bit there on business objectives and relating those items through social media and web presence. What about setting goals for each business objective? How do we take something like that? So let's say you're a new sportswear manufacturer and they have to do things in a different way. How do we turn that into an objective where we're making our web marketing tell people to do something in a way that makes them want to do it, the great art of marketing? So an example, I'm just thinking of ideas like, say, Starbucks, for example. Other than they have gift cards, don't really sell coffee from their website, but what they do is they direct people to a local store. So that would be an objective there. So how do we do that as a business who's doing this for the first time? What steps would you suggest people go through?
So step 2 is kind of as you say there. You need to map out the different goals based on the different objective. So there will never be, let's say, 1, 2, 3, probably 5, maybe 10 different goals dependent on what you're wanting the customer to do or what part of the journey the customer or prospect is in. So, for example, a very good example there. One goal would be to attract people to your store, attract people to download your ebook, attract people to grab a discount voucher code for an e-commerce promotion, or maybe it's just to generate traffic and drive people to your website. Once you know what those goals are, and any of the goals would be based on what the customer what you want the customer to do once they are integrated within your website, your social media, connecting with you, commenting with you, buying something from you. Once you know what that goal is, it's only at that point that you then can choose the right digital channel to actually take it forward. So whilst we're talking steps 3 and 4 about KPIs, and that will help you decide the channels that you're going to go and approach through web marketing, I think in step 2, it's important to clearly define what you want the prospect or customer to do. So do you want them to go to your website? So do you want to generate lots more traffic for search engine purposes and just purely for visibility of brand? Do you want someone to go and download a voucher, a freebie, something that exchanges a nice piece of insight for an email address, so you've got better lead generation going forward. Once you know that goal, I think it's then very easy to decide what is the right channel to go and talk to a customer in, which takes us back to the first point about business objectives. Where do people hang out? Once you've got the right goal for the business objective, you can then choose the right channel. And it's at this point that digital marketing can actually become successful for you.
Definitely. Good stuff. I think one thing to ponder there that I was thinking about as you were talking is actually where we have things to sell is a key consideration when we set a goal. So if we sell things that we have in stock, or they're services or digital things which we supply almost immediately, then we want people to buy directly from the site. But if they're in locations like a Starbucks coffee shop, or we have distributors who sell our products on our behalf, we want to kind of redirect people to where they can get those things. And those are two very, very different objectives overall and goals, aren't they? So one is buy from me on the site, and the other one is go to this person, this new person who can sell you these things.
Here's another very good one on that front, Phil, where you mention think about any kind of local business that is in a physical location or provides some kind of service to the local community. They want to have a website that is very much, when someone does a search in Google, for example, or a local XYZ trade service, practitioner of something, they see their business on a map with reviews and a connection so that they can go and see that business, whether it's via a Google virtual tour or whether it's still just clicking on the website because they've got the right SEO in place. I don't want to go into marketing terms. But I think there is another good goal for anybody that's got a local, small, certainly a regional or local business. Your goal would be to attract people to your business. So in order to do that, you need to be on Google Map, because the search that people do will bring up the map. And then you need to be in the top 3 results of that map. Otherwise, you're not being seen. You're not going to be shown, and people are not going to phone you up to ask for your services.
Yep, very true. Those maps become ever more powerful, don't they?
The map and the ability to pick up a phone and contact someone instantly so they can come round and give you a quote, or you can go there and make an inquiry, basically. I think it's a very good goal for local businesses, because it's such a cheap way of getting the best digital advertising there is, by having a website that's then on a Google map that then can give people an ability to see you instantly from any kind of search that's relevant to that local type of service that you provide.
Very good. And let's just add in one more there that came into my mind when you were talking, which is the difference between sell more, which many businesses no doubt want to do, but there's also sell better, which is selling to a different kind of customer. And perhaps we actually want to reduce the quantity of sales that we do, but sell to a more affluent or more refined, or whatever it may be, a different market, all in all. So if we take that point and everything that we discussed there and then look at KPIs, what kind of KPIs can we put down as things that we want to happen so we know that we're progressing towards our goals?
You give me your examples first.
Well, I think if we go to sell better, it would be indicators that we are reaching that new market, so that we can somehow know that the people we want to reach, we are achieving that rather than whatever we've been doing in the past. Or if we are Starbucks or another coffee shop chain and we want people to find their local store, simple KPI is number of searches for a local outlet. If we want to sell more, then it's a simple e-commerce sales KPI such. We want to increase turnover by X%. So those are the ones that come to my mind right away. Have you got any to add to those?
Yeah, perfect. Sorry, I probably sounded very abrupt there asking for those.
Not at all.
It's such an open-ended KPIs.
It is. You're
such
right.
an open-ended question. And I wanted to know if you were going to, so that we know that this is not staged in any way, just to know if you mentioned any of the ones I was going to mention. The primary one for me would be KPIs around search visibility, traffic to your site, and the amount of engagement you get. And quite big on, for lead generation purposes, the power of social media insights that you can give people. So social media. So B2B, B2C, it's so easy to say for these major areas of business that Facebook or LinkedIn, Pinterest, Instagram are good in different ways for different businesses. However, putting away from all of that fluff, it's crucially important as a KPI to think about how do you want the person to interact with you, your business, your service, and if that's going to be through the channels they like, such as social media. Let's use Facebook as an example. The amount of viral comments and shared resources that I see successfully working in a local community environment for people that sell. Two good examples, a physiotherapy practice or a local goods provider, a local physical store that sells bikes and outdoor pursuits type of gear, and is competing with major brands such as Go Outdoors and does very well. Because what they are doing, both this physiotherapy practice and this outdoor store, is going on Facebook and giving personal attention to individuals, whether they've got a bad back or want to buy a new bike, ridiculous ends of spectrums, but whatever they want, Facebook attracts people to their business because it gives them valuable insights and tells them exactly how that company can help them as an individual. And I think so much is lost in KPIs these days, trying to chase a golden goose because people don't understand what the KPI is that they want. So they end up just chasing a phantom number of traffic or a phantom return on investment, not return on investment, sorry, no, that's the key important thing. A phantom, let's say, number of downloads or collection of email addresses. Really, at the end of the day, it's all about ROI. The ability to get return on investment from whatever digital strategy you use has to look at KPIs that are around how people are interacting with you and finding worth from your business. Because at the end of the day, we both have the same philosophy. We want to work with people that make us feel great, that we are inspired to help because we see the smile on their faces. It's the reason we do what we do, working as we do in our industry. It's not a major agency. We're just trying to help people achieve their goals and aspirations and dreams. If you're doing that as a business through whether it's Facebook, whether it's your website, whether it's email correspondence back and forth, whether it's a phone conversation or coaching, consulting, mentoring, talking to someone they come in store, the KPI to me has to be how you put a smile on a customer's face.
Very good. That's a nice way to look at a KPI. Smiles.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it might sound so fluffy to some people, but to me, why are you in business? Well, you're in business to put a smile on someone's face because then they'll come back for more.
I agree with that. But when do we have moments in life when we have to buy something that it doesn't put a smile on our face, like a speeding ticket or something? It's the opposite of what a KPI should be, isn't it? All in all.
Buying a speeding ticket. Wow, I've never heard it said like that before. I might buy 10.
Great. Okay, so step number 5 then. This is where we ask, well, now we've looked at business objectives, and we've looked at goals, and we've looked at KPIs. How can we identify targets? We need some kind of baseline to identify targets for each KPI. So if we already have Google Analytics or something that's tracking our whole business, maybe not just the online side, we have benchmark stats that we can look for increases on or optimizations. If you're a new business, what do you suggest they do?
In terms of analytics?
In terms of, identifying a target. So for their KPI, they're a brand new business. Let's say it's a brand new coffee shop chain. Can we go back to that? Must be thinking about coffee right now. And they want to send people to their local stores. They're its first year in existence. Then what do they base a KPI on? You know, it's not going to be a percentage increase because there's no previous data. So where can they go?
Yep. Okay. Yep. Get you. Again, and I'm going to half answer the question and then try and elaborate. It's all dependent on where that person is that you're perceiving is in the journey of connecting with your business. So let's say a Starbucks is opening a new chain. Now their KPI is to get as much brand exposure out there that a new store is being opened in the local area and come and get a coffee. So a KPI would be to get people into the store to come and buy coffee for them. As a major brand that's got all the brand awareness it needs and all the paraphernalia to really push and can go hard on pushing that in Truro, let's say, there is a new coffee shop being opened up, and as an incentive to get people there, if you even need to make an incentive for such a major brand, then come in and get a pound off a coffee, whatever.
Yeah.
So their KPI would be different because it's a new store being opened up. Let's say there's a new business that's, let's say a friend of mine, a physiotherapy practice. Their KPI is they are launching a new website, and so they want to get as many eyeballs on their website as possible. For them, I'm not going to go too much into this because I've spoke about it on many a podcast. It's about being on the Google map in the local area so people can pick up the phone, see you, phone you, speak to you, or see through Google Virtual Tour a plan of your premises. That would be for them. Their KPI would be driving interest to their website that has been probably sat on page 2 of Google and never seen and never generated any traffic. So their KPI would be based on the customer base, awareness of my business on digital, get the right website and get it on the map, on Google Map. For someone who is selling product, now this is where, to me, targeting people, segmenting behaviors would be, how can you use at the best return investment level paid advertising? And to me, depends on what you're selling. That then would go through, say, LinkedIn in-mails, LinkedIn sponsored posts, if it's B2B, or using something like the amazing power of Facebook advertising if you're selling, well, whether it is even B2B, but certainly B2C, with the ability to track people through their visits to your website through the pixels that you will discuss in a second, I assume, by the ability to track people going through what they do in their browsing habits, you can then look at how to segment people based on selling something to them or promoting your services to them through the channels that they frequent. Facebook being a very good example of how you can target people, pricelessly target real deep down, drill down demographics of people to what they do, what they like, what they view. And this is not just on Facebook, this is in their entire web browsing capacity. So let's say, for example, I've got a subscription to Shutterstock. So I go on Shutterstock quite often and I'm downloading images. On my Facebook feed, the next time I go on Facebook, I'm instantly presented there with a beautiful ad that shows me new Shutterstock images. And that's all because they can track my pixel, or the pixel that they've got tracking me, knows I've been to a very specific page of a very specific website looking at a very specific thing. And then they can target me in Facebook.
It's very impressive, isn't it?
It's hugely impressive. And I think when it comes to product, you can do it in such a subtle way on Facebook that is not intrusive to someone. Going back to this very first question, where do people hang out? That's where they want to engage with you as a business. So engage with them in the places they want to hang out, Facebook being a very good example. And in that regard, you can do it in such a soft way based on targeting very precise demographics.
I'm going to move us into question 5 there, because we've kind of began to discuss some of the things that question brings up. So question 5 is, can we break these targets down into segments of people, behaviour, outcomes that we can analyse in analytics? And you've just given a great example of how that all happened to you with Shutterstock.
Yep.
So that is the kind of target we'd set for all of this accumulating in analytics, tracking what's going on. So we want to know how many people, in Shutterstock's case, perhaps search for images in February that are based on love for Valentine's. Or in your case, I'm guessing yours was about server-side location scripts and other things and whatever they may be. So they know that you're tracking that, and it'd be great for them to know how many searches across the year are in that area. And then from there, we can begin to look at, going back to our coffee shop, we might want to track the number of people that sign up for our £1 download. So they get a coffee for £1 or £1 off, whatever it may be. And then we also want to know, do those people return later on? And is there a way we can track that? So one thing that, I don't know if you tried the Starbucks app, it goes on your phone now, but it's really, really clever. It has a lot of user ID attached to it, so they know what coffee shops you frequent, and they even know what coffees you like to buy. So when they want to bring you back to Starbucks, they simply send you a free coffee on the app, and it tends to work. At least it does for me.
Very good. So just talk very quickly. How does that work then? How do they track? So you've got the app on your phone,
and you can. So the app allows you to pay for a coffee. So you go into Starbucks with your app on your phone, you order what you want, and you use a barcode on the app to pay for it, which debits your kind of card, whatever you set up on it. So you do that enough times, and they know what Starbucks branches you go into and what you order. So you don't go there for 3 or 4 weeks and you get a free coffee. So there's a bit of a tip. If you want a free coffee, get the Starbucks app. You'll have to invest a bit in month 1. Don't return in month 2 and you'll get a free coffee in month 3.
Yeah, spend 20 quid on coffee. Don't go for a month and you get a free coffee.
But that's the kind of thing that we can put into our analytics strategy and begin to track. So if people show behaviour that we want to encourage and then it stops, what can we do to incentivize them to return? And do those incentives work? Or in the case of a new business starting out, what does our analytics show that people do? So, one thing I think is a great thing to put on any new analytics account is an all-link tracker. And that literally just tracks every single link that people click on. After 3 months, you've got like a league table of all the things on your site that entice people to click more than others. So that's
power of data.
The power of data.
It is absolutely the power of data, and that's where you come in so succinctly talking about you have to have it set up in the first place. Yes. If you get that all set up, the power of the data that you can have, even if there's not a lot of data, once you can see signals, it's so much better for helping you take your digital marketing further with the next right strategy without wasting money, wasting time, wasting resources.
Absolutely. And that's where those 3 things, so in step 5, when we're talking about targets for analytics to track people behavior outcomes, they have to connect with what we were talking about in step 1, and then step 2, and then step 3, and then step 4.
Let me ask you a question, Phil, just to wrap up on what you're talking about. So the power of the data from a Starbucks app or from analytics showing you the different links and how much traffic you've generated for individual pages, what the behaviors are of people on those pages. So the power of all that data is great. Let me ask you, how would you use that data to then show people whatever your message may be, your call to action may be, in the right channel? I'm going back to the thing I'm really passionate about, marketing to people in the places they feel comfortable. So marketing to people in the places they hang out. So the Starbucks example there is a very good example. It's all done through your app, and then I assume through potentially text messages that they would present to you new offers or keep you in their mind's eye by saying, come back, you're not being in a couple of months. Here's an incentive.
Yes.
For a business that sells product, and I am thinking Facebook advertising, just as that's the first thing in my brain, but how would you go to people and the ways they hang out and attract them to your business in the places they want to be marketed to, in the channels they want to be marketed?
Well, there's 2 things I think are important there. So the first one is setting up the conversions and the mini conversions that you want to monitor on your site. So if you want to, in the first case, attract awareness, and then after that, follow that up with messages which either enhance interest or give people more information, which you are then gradually leading people to the point where you're asking them to be a customer, then all of those points need tracking. Even though your end game is to sell something, what most businesses are here to do, the things you want to do before that are all mini conversions in themselves. And there's this phrase that we have in analytics called attribution modeling. Really, really big word. I had to look it up the first time I read it. But what it really means is, how do we attach credit to different things that we do in the path to a sale? So analytics by default uses something called last click attribution. So that means if someone clicks on a pay-per-click ad and buys something, the pay-per-click ad gets all the credit. But let's suppose that they actually visited our site 2 months ago from an organic Twitter post, or a post we put on Facebook, or even a Facebook ad, and they've taken 4 or 5 different steps before they come to that final sale. Then we might actually want to change our attribution model, give each part of that process a different credit. And the way you are as a business and the type of products you sell dictates what kind of attribution modeling is right for you. So if you're about quantity and low prices, last click is probably right. You want to give all the credit to the last place that people found you. But if you're a business that gradually speaks to people and over time tries to entice them into being a customer or persuades them through the persuasive nature of your content, then you've got to give some other things credit on the way. And that's where the data gives you choices. Because data's never 100% accurate. It's a guide. And we have to shape that guide in the best way for our specific business. Analytics by default comes with average values throughout. So average values across the business world, and in particular your sector, which is why they ask you to specify a sector in the beginning. So what we then have to do is shape it for our own needs, and then we get the data that's useful for our specific business and the way it works.
Absolutely spot on.
So we've been through 5 steps there and we've chatted a fair bit. Is there anything you want to give to people before we go?
Yes, I do. And it goes back to what you just said in the last 2 minutes. I would suggest the one takeaway, because I know it's quite a long podcast, the one takeaway I think anyone can get from this is to just rewind this back to the last 2 minutes of what you just spoke about with attribution modeling. And this is everything that is successful web marketing. If so many businesses fail to see the benefit because they think, I need a website, I need a social media presence, I need some online advertising. Everything they do is with one thought in mind, I need to sell. Whereas what you're saying there, if they roll back and just listen to that again on attribution modeling, it's all about every single step in the process of nurturing someone through your funnel has got some way of helping you generate a lead. It's not about the end game of the sell, but it's actually about taking people on that journey to the point of which they will then want to buy. And I think everything that we talk about wrapped up within the last 2 minutes of what you say with attribution modeling is everything of what people do wrong and where they can do it so right, by appreciating that each individual step, whether it's a blog post, whether it's a landing page, whether it's a Facebook ad, whatever it may be, each one of those elements, steps, channels, is part of the process of nurturing someone, existing or new, to buy something from you. Instead of thinking, I just need to sell something, I just want someone to buy something from me. Panic, throw money into digital marketing, or don't do it in the fullness of time or in a half-hearted way, and it fails because they're looking at the end game, not the part of the process they're in to make that fantastic. That would be my end conclusion.
Very well said. And that takes us back to what we're discussing in the first question, where if what you're doing in your web marketing is different to how you are in real life, then there's something wrong. And if your expectations of web marketing are different to what they would be if you were conversing with people in real life, then there's something wrong again. Two have to match, and the expectations have to match to make the whole process work. Great stuff. Noel, thank you so much for being here today. Good chat.
Thank you, Phil. Yep, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
And have a great weekend.
And you, take care.
My name is Phil Byrne, and I'd like to thank you so much for listening today. I hope you got something really good to take away from this week's episode for you or your business. And you know what? I'd like to give you something more. In fact, I'd like to give you a whole free web marketing pack full of all my latest and best ideas on how you can take your business forward positively online. Download your pack at positivesparks.co.uk/pack. And most of all, guys, look forward to seeing you again next week.